Hello, my name is David Sloan, and welcome back to the Cameraman Lectures. This is Lecture 3, addressing Cameraman episodes 8 through 10. These episodes wrap up Season 1 of Cameraman, having taken us through the initial Cameraman era, from when Milo first encounters him to the last post-mortem moments following the Cameraman's public disappearance. Episodes 8 through 10, which include an undisclosed location, the second 10, and live, introduce us to Serum, the hacktivist group that has devoted themselves to working with the Cameraman under their enigmatic leader, Talia. We don't learn too much about Serum except that they are skilled, quirky, and flexible in ways that Milo has to adapt to. Some who are in the know, or who have seen a lot of Mr. Robot episodes, may want to point out to me that the way this particular hacktivist group works is not really how hackers work, and you could be right. But to my knowledge, no hackers to date have had an anonymous time-traveling cameraman as their leader, so I'd submit that Serum's operation could be an aberration from the norm. Time-wise, it's important to notice that the events of Live overlap with episodes 1 and 2, which showed things from the tragic perspectives of the Dickerson brothers. Live shows what actually happened from Milo's point of view and how these events have set him up for a very uncertain future of simultaneous fame and obscurity. And these will not be easy waters for Milo to navigate, or really for the world to navigate. In episode 8, we find that Talia, trying to communicate to Milo the full scope of what the cameraman represents to the world now that everybody knows about the kidnapping video. She gives him a speech about how everyone in the world has left something in the past that they would want to see again, and also everyone has left something in the past that they would like to stay in the past. And since Milo and Reg are the only public link to the cameraman, the whole world would have come after them if Serum and Baker had not intervened. And this is where we can pause for a moment and consider the fantasy of having the cameraman at our disposal to see back. How would we use that power? And who could we trust with that power? The setting of Baltimore is an appropriate place to consider this question for two reasons. One, Baltimore has a lot of history and many events that would be worthy of rewatching through the cameraman's lens. Second, Baltimore has some history with controversies over surveillance. And I'll give you an example. In 2020, the city experimented with the Aerial Investigation Research, or AIR program, which used high-flying surveillance drones that hovered over the city and took high-resolution video of traffic and movement during the day. This was run by a group called Persistent Surveillance Systems. The idea was that if a crime was committed, the police could go to the drone footage and rewind it to trace the path of the getaway car back to its place of origin. And then it could go forward to see what other traffic intersected with that place of origin. And in this way, it could successfully detect patterns of, for example, organized crime behavior. And this technology was used to track gang violence and smuggling in Ciudad Juarez in Mexico. But the way that the program was implemented and handled backfired in Baltimore, and in June 2021, the ACLU successfully argued their case to a federal appeals court, which ruled that the program was unconstitutional as it created violations of privacy. The risk was that there was not enough oversight into how a program that could track the movements of anybody in the city, and not just criminals, anybody, how that would be used. And given the city's history with racial division, for example, this created some very real and understandable concern. And in this case, the issue at hand was not surveillance itself, per se. Anyone who's been around the city knows that there are cameras all over the place. The issue was the scope of the surveillance and the capacity of the record to be used unethically. So, if we extrapolate that experience out to what the cameraman could do, we start to see that the question of who the cameraman was and what the cameraman is using that information for is a worldwide concern. And as the readers have seen, we know that the cameraman is capable of using his power in somewhat shady ways. Another really important thing to note in these episodes is the collage that Serum had gathered of cameraman images and memorabilia. Of particular importance is the map of where the cameraman videos took place, which were all in the mid-Atlantic East Coast area, and the time ranges of when they took place. We know that the cameraman videos weren't going all the way back to the time of the dinosaurs or back to Jamestown. All of the videos were fairly recent. And there are reasons for that, rules that will emerge as the story goes on. Another really important thing to remember from the collage is the spherical capsule full of USB thumb drives that it was called the mother lode. In theory, the picture of the mother lode was a promise from the cameraman to the world that there is much more to come. So then why then did the cameraman disappear so suddenly? And why is the capsule a sphere and not just a cardboard box? We'll find out answers to all of these questions in future episodes. Season 2, comprising episodes 11 through 25, will cover what happens when Milo is given a clue about the identity of the cameraman and what Milo will do to uncover the truth, or not. So, thank you for reading up on Season 1 and watching these lectures. I hope you continue on into Season 2 and that you keep watching because you never know what you're going to see.